When most people think of aliens, they think of little green dudes with big heads walking around. Well, not this author. When Orson Scott Card was coming up with his extraterrestrials for his series, he went straight for the ant. Imagine ants, the size of humans, but far technologically superior than us. And that's exactly what the villains are in this book. I call them villains. They're pretty much just the motivator in the novel. As if you've read it, you understand that the villains are not the buggers, are not the bugs. When you read it, you'll realize that the villains are people that Ender grew up with, and people that maybe disliked Ender, and people that Ender fought himself. Well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. What is Ender's Game? Well, Ender's Game is a classic sci-fi novel written in 1985 by Orson Scott Card, and it's actually critically acclaimed as being one of the best sci-fi novels ever. Ender's Game is set about 200 years in the future, and Earth, or the human race, I guess, to be more accurate, has encountered an alien race about 100 years prior to the start of Ender's Game. And they went to war with them. They call it the First Invasion, where these formics were discovered by a ship called El Cavador, where they were first introduced to us as the hormigas, or ants in Spanish. Later on, they refer to them as formics or buggers, and we can explore this in the Earth Unaware series. Well, basically, they attacked Earth to try and colonize it, and then later on in the next trilogy, we encountered the second bugger invasion. And then finally, in this Enderverse series, we encounter the third invasion. About many changes in the political, industrial, and societal economies of Earth. Ender experiences this, right? He grows up in this new world where everything's different. The idea most explored by Ender, or most influential to Ender, is the idea of population limits. In this universe, there's population limits, and each family can only have 2 children. Well, it just so happens that Ender's family, the Wiggin family, was allowed to have a third child, Ender. They call them thirds. They're stigmatized as thirds. There's propaganda against thirds because it's seen as they're not doing their part, almost treasonous to have a third child. Well, Andrew Wiggin, or Ender Wiggin, as he's known by friends and family, is a third. He has a brother and sister, both of which are actually considered the best the world has ever seen, the most intellectual people on the planet, which is why they actually requisitioned Ender's birth in the first place. Being a third, Ender kind of grew up being bullied constantly for no other reason than the fact that he was a third, by not only his friends, but by his brother too. And so this scars Ender for the rest of his life. And it's actually a theme that's brought up constantly throughout the book. He has a bully in, I would call it grade school. He has a bully in battle school, a couple bullies in battle school, if I remember right. And then later on, you can see how these bullies affect him. Well, he also has his sister, Valentine, who's loving and compassionate and, loves him unconditionally. Not only that, but then he makes friends like his friend Alai in battle school, and a friend like Petra, who love him and adore him. And these themes arise constantly throughout the whole series, where Ender is battling bullies, and he's battling love, and he's battling friendship, and he's getting his heart broken because people aren't seeing him as a friend anymore. And basically this whole book is about the growth of Ender Wiggin and how he overcomes his challenges and his feelings throughout these challenges. And so if you love sci-fi and if you love following path of this kid, then it's something that you would really enjoy. What do I love about this book in particular? Well, there's something magical about the way that Orson Scott Card introduces you and makes you fall in love almost immediately with Ender Wiggin. The first chapter, Ender is having a procedure done to remove what's called a monitor, which is put in him as a kid, and it kind of keeps track of all of his emotions and his feelings and anything that goes on in his life so that the battle school can determine whether he's good enough. Well, they're taking this monitor out, and Ender ends up having a seizure, and he feels tremendous pain, and you automatically connect and you automatically feel sorry for the kid. He goes on and he gets bullied by his classmates because he got his monitor removed. He goes home, he gets bullied by his brother because his monitor was removed. And then all of a sudden he's ripped away from his family, and his sister is crying because she's having her heart broken because Ender's leaving her. And it immediately throws you into this whirlwind of emotions for this kid, or what this kid can be experiencing at this moment. And I think it's something that Orson Scott Card masterfully does throughout his whole series, is these growths of relationships and feelings and heartbreak, and just can't help but connect with these characters and what they're going through. Ender's Game does a great job of getting into strategy, or maybe tactics, if you will, of close quarters combat and how Ender outmaneuvers his opponents. Then he goes on to basically saving the world. I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but tricked into saving the world. And you can't help but feel these powerful, powerful emotions that Ender must be feeling during this time period. There's something that I just can't describe about reading this book. And as you can tell, it's pretty beat up. I've read this book. I've listened to this book on Audible many times. And I've read it about 5 times. And I gotta say, there's just something that I love about it, about connecting with the character. Here's a little excerpt from the book that kind of gives you an idea of some of the games that kind of gives you an idea of some of the games that not only the teachers were playing with his head, but his other classmates might have been playing with his head. Just when things were finally coming together. Just when Bernard was getting along with everybody, even Ender. Just when Ender was beginning to make a real friend out of a lie. Just when his life was getting livable. Basically, what this is in reference to is Ender got promoted. Right when he was making friends and right when everything seemed to be going well, the teachers go and they rip everything away from him. And like I said, this is a classic theme throughout the whole story, where going well, it's going well, it's going well, and then it changes. And then it's going well, it's going well, it's going well, changes. And all the time he's losing friends and he's making friends, and then he loses them again and he makes them again. And his entire life is just constant change, and he never grows to trust anybody, and he never goes to make these close friends, not until the end of the book. Basically, if you want to know why I think this book is so good, it's because of how well you connect with Andrew Wiggin. He becomes somebody that you know, someone that you're friends with, someone who, if you met in real life, you just want to be friends with. And not only do I feel that way, but Card knows that people feel that way about him in his books, because he has this posse with him who love him for no reason that they can explain, other than that he's a great leader and a great caring person. You've read books like Percy Jackson or Harry Potter, maybe even The Hunger Games. You'll love this book because those books do a great job of connecting you with the main character. That's exactly what this book is. And if you've already read Ender's Game and you're just watching this just to hear someone else's opinion on it because you're so in love with it or because you hate it so much. I definitely encourage you to either read Ender's Shadow, which is from one of the characters' Bean's perspective. It's a spinoff. Or read Earth Unaware, which is the start of the prequel series, which is also really good and also does a really good job of having you connect with characters. Maybe not as good as Ender's Game is, but it's good. It's pretty good. If you haven't read the next book in the series called Speaker for the Dead, I'd argue that I like that book a little bit more than Ender's Game. So to wrap it all up here, Ender's Game really excels in character development, and I say that it's a master in character development. That's what I really love about it. Without hesitation, this book gets 5 stars out of 5 for me. Best book, if not my favorite book of all time, and I encourage everyone to go read it. Anyways, though, my name's Orion. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So if you guys are looking to talk about anything or just make a friend, a book reading friend, give me your book suggestions. You can either catch me on Twitch or leave them in the comments down below. And as always, I appreciate everyone for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. A little bit more than Ender's Game. So to wrap it all up here, Ender's Game really excels in character development, and I say that it's a master in character development. That's what I really love about it. Without hesitation, this book gets 5 stars out of 5 for me. Best book, if not my favorite book of all time, and I encourage everyone to go read it. Anyways, though, my name's Orion. I stream on Twitch Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So if you guys are looking to talk about anything or just make a